It's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
Rachel Zegler, the star of Disney's upcoming Snow White, was deeply affected after South Park took a harsh jab at the movie.
Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
I promise there's not.
The animated show made fun of Disney's new direction, calling out the changes to the classic story. These updates were meant to reflect more modern values, but the satire hit hard. What really set off this reaction, and how much deeper does the criticism go? The real consequences this joke had on Zegler are far more disturbing than what everyone thinks. South Park mocks Snow White. For most fans of South Park, the episode was just another instance of the show's signature brand of irreverent humor, which often pulls no punches when mocking cultural trends, celebrities, or sensitive societal issues. But for Rachel Zegler, who plays the lead role in Disney's upcoming remake, the situation felt deeply personal, triggering an emotional breakdown that she publicly expressed. The episode's content, combined with the existing backlash against her involvement in the film, struck a chord, making her feel unfairly singled out. Before we delve into this, it's clear that the reaction to Rachel's portrayal of Snow White is far more intense than anyone expected, and this won't be the only thing that will shock you. In this in-depth article, we will explore not only South Park's satirical commentary, but also the larger narrative surrounding the live-action Snow White remake, Rachel Zegler's emotional reaction, and the intense scrutiny she has been facing ever since her casting was announced. By dissecting these layers, we can better understand the broader cultural conversation around remakes, woke storytelling, and the pressures placed on young actors in today's entertainment industry. Before delving into the heart of the controversy surrounding her role as Snow White, it's essential to understand how Rachel Zegler rose to prominence in Hollywood and the significance of her being cast as the iconic princess. Zegler's story, from a relatively unknown talent to a household name, has been nothing short of meteoric. Born to a Colombian mother and a Polish father, Zegler grew up in Clifton, New Jersey, where she was an active participant in high school theater and musical performances. Her big break came in 2019 when she was cast as Maria in Steven Spielberg's highly anticipated adaptation of West Side Story. Out of over 30,000 auditioning hopefuls, Zegler's raw talent, striking presence, and powerful voice caught Spielberg's attention, and she quickly became the standout star of the film. When the movie was released in 2021, it garnered widespread acclaim from critics and audiences alike. Zegler's performance was celebrated, and many regarded her as the next big thing in Hollywood. It seemed as though her future in the industry was nothing but bright. Shortly after the release of West Side Story, Disney made headlines by casting Zegler as the lead in their live-action remake of Snow White, one of the most beloved animated films in cinema history. However, with this casting came intense scrutiny. While many praised Disney for choosing a young, talented, and ethnically diverse actress to take on the role, others questioned whether the remake was necessary and expressed concern about how Disney planned to modernize the story, especially in terms of race and representation. The spotlight on Zegler grew even brighter, and soon she would find herself at the center of a larger cultural debate about Hollywood's ongoing attempts to update its classic stories. Disney has always been a powerhouse in the world of entertainment, known for producing timeless animated classics that have enchanted generations of viewers. Over the past decade, however, the company has increasingly focused on remaking these beloved stories into live-action films, which have received mixed reactions from both critics and audiences. While these remakes aim to bring new life to older stories, many viewers feel that they often fail to capture the magic of the originals. In particular, Disney's live-action remakes have become infamous for being politically charged, with some audiences accusing the company of pushing a progressive agenda. These adaptations frequently alter the storylines of classic tales in an attempt to make them more inclusive, diverse, and reflective of modern values. In some cases, these changes have been welcomed, while in others they have sparked intense backlash from those who feel that Disney is compromising the integrity of the original narratives. The upcoming Snow White remake, starring Rachel Zegler, has been at the forefront of this ongoing debate. Disney's decision to recast the traditionally white character with a Latina actress was both lauded and criticized. Supporters of the change pointed to the importance of representation and the need for Hollywood to tell stories that reflect the diverse audiences who watch these films. Critics, however, felt that the casting was an unnecessary deviation from the original story, accusing Disney of prioritizing wokeness over authenticity to the source material. As people talked more about Rachel's role, Disney's big changes to the story sparked even more arguments. Snow White gets a new twist. Beyond the casting, Disney has also made it clear that they are reworking the storyline of Snow White to better align with modern feminist ideals. In the original 1937 animated film, Snow White is a passive character whose ultimate goal is to find her prince and live happily ever after. This narrative, which reflects outdated gender roles, has been criticized for promoting the idea that women need to be rescued by men. Disney's new version aims to give Snow White more agency and independence, portraying her as a strong, self-sufficient woman who doesn't rely on a prince to save her. While many view these changes as a necessary and positive step towards creating more empowering female characters, others argue that Disney is sacrificing the timeless appeal of the original story in favor of pushing a political message. As the public debate intensified, Rachel Zegler found herself at the center of the storm, with critics questioning not only her casting but also her outspoken support for the film's updated themes. Given South Park's reputation for lampooning cultural trends, celebrities, and institutions, it was almost inevitable that Disney's remake of Snow White would eventually become a target for their biting satire. The animated series, which has been on the air since 1997, is known for its unapologetically irreverent humor and its willingness to tackle controversial topics head-on. Over the years, the show has skewered everything from politics to pop culture, making it a cultural barometer for how society views current events. In a recent episode, South Park took aim at Disney's live-action remakes with a specific focus on the new Snow White. The episode humorously depicted Disney's efforts to remake their classic stories with a more progressive agenda, highlighting how far removed these new versions are from the originals. The writers of South Park poked fun at the idea that every beloved childhood story now needs to be updated to reflect modern sensibilities, often with awkward or forced results. Though the South Park episode did not explicitly name Rachel Zegler, the satire was clearly a jab at Disney's woke reimagining of Snow White, and by extension at the young actress who had become the face of the project. The show's portrayal of the live-action remake played on the widespread public sentiment that Disney was overcompensating in its efforts to modernize its stories, at the expense of entertainment value. For Zegler, the episode seemed to hit particularly close to home. She had already been dealing with an avalanche of criticism related to her casting and her public statements about the film.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
The South Park episode only added fuel to the fire, making it feel as though she was being targeted not just by media pundits and critics, but also by a show known for its harsh satire. Rachel Zegler has never been shy about speaking her mind or sharing her opinions, both on social media and in interviews. She has been vocal about her beliefs in social justice, diversity, and the need for more representation in Hollywood. So, when South Park aired its episode mocking Disney's Snow White remake, Zegler couldn't help but feel as though the joke was directed squarely at her. In the days following the episode's release, Zegler took to social media to express her frustration and disappointment with the way the film, and by extension her performance, was being ridiculed. In a series of tweets, she shared her thoughts on how difficult it had been to endure the constant criticism that had come her way since being cast as Snow White. She acknowledged that while being in the public eye comes with its share of challenges, the mockery and attacks had begun to take a toll on her mental health. Zegler's public breakdown was a raw and emotional display of the pressure that young actors often face in Hollywood, especially when they are involved in projects that are controversial or polarizing. She admitted that she had been struggling to cope with the intense scrutiny and that the South Park episode had only amplified the negativity she was already experiencing. The actress described feeling as though she couldn't escape the criticism, with every move she made being dissected and judged by both fans and detractors. As Rachel faced more criticism, South Park quickly turned her struggles into a joke. Let's see how this parody felt a little too personal for the actress. Zegler struggles with fame. For many of her supporters, Zegler's emotional response was a moment of vulnerability that highlighted the very real challenges of navigating fame in today's world. It served as a reminder that behind the glamorous roles and red carpet appearances, actors are still human beings with emotions, and the relentless nature of public criticism can be incredibly damaging. Rachel Zegler's emotional response to the South Park episode and the broader criticism surrounding her role in Snow White is just one piece of a much larger conversation happening within the entertainment industry. Over the past few years, Disney has faced increasing scrutiny for what many perceive as its attempts to be overly woke in its live-action remakes of classic films. The term woke in this context has come to refer to the company's efforts to be more progressive, inclusive, and socially aware in its storytelling. This has often meant recasting traditionally white characters with actors of color, updating female characters to be more empowered and independent, and reworking storylines to reflect contemporary values around gender, race, and identity. While some applaud these changes as necessary and long overdue, others feel that Disney has gone too far in its quest to be politically correct. These critics argue that the company is sacrificing the timeless appeal and magic of its classic stories in favor of pushing a political agenda. They believe that instead of creating new original stories that reflect modern values, Disney is trying to retrofit its older films to fit the current cultural climate, often with mixed results. The live-action remake of Snow White has become a flashpoint in this debate, with Rachel Zegler bearing the brunt of the criticism. As the actress chosen to lead the reimagined film, she has become a symbol of Disney's efforts to modernize its content. Her outspoken defense of the film's changes, including its emphasis on female empowerment, has made her a target for those who feel that Disney is losing sight of what made its original films so beloved. For Zegler, the pressure of being at the center of this cultural debate has clearly taken a toll. While she remains a talented and promising actress, the controversy surrounding Snow White has cast a shadow over her career, at least for the time being. One of the central issues raised by Rachel Zegler's breakdown is the delicate balance between satire and personal attack. South Park has long been known for its biting humor, and over the years countless celebrities, public figures, and institutions have found themselves the subjects of the show's satire. For many, being mocked by South Park is seen as a rite of passage, a sign that one has truly made it in the public eye. However, for Rachel Zegler, the experience was clearly more personal. While satire is often intended to provoke thought and spark conversations, it can also feel hurtful when it targets individuals who are already under intense public scrutiny. In Zegler's case, the South Park episode likely felt like a culmination of the criticism she had been facing ever since being cast as Snow White. There's an ongoing debate about the role of satire in modern culture. On one hand, satire is a powerful tool for holding public figures and institutions accountable, using humor to highlight the absurdities or contradictions in their actions. On the other hand, when satire targets individuals who are already vulnerable or struggling with public perception, it can come across as cruel or unnecessary. For Zegler, the South Park episode likely felt more like a personal attack than a lighthearted joke. The young actress was already grappling with the pressure of being cast in such a high-profile, controversial role, and the episode only added to the negativity she was experiencing. It serves as a reminder that while satire can be an important part of public discourse, it also has the potential to cause real emotional harm to those it targets. As Rachel Zegler continues to navigate the aftermath of the South Park satire and the ongoing criticism of her role as Snow White, many are left wondering what this means for her future in Hollywood. Will this controversy define her career, or will she be able to move past it and continue building on her early successes? Even though it was meant to be funny, Rachel's emotional reaction showed the real pressure that fame brings to young stars. Zegler's future in doubt. For some, Zegler's emotional response to the criticism will be seen as a sign of vulnerability and humanity. In an industry where actors are often expected to have thick skin and remain unaffected by public opinion, Zegler's willingness to share her emotions and admit to the challenges she's facing could be seen as refreshing. It humanizes her in a way that many people can relate to, showing that even rising stars are not immune to the pressures of fame. However, there is also the possibility that Zegler's public breakdown could have long-term implications for how she is perceived within the industry. Hollywood is a notoriously tough place, and actors who are seen as difficult or overly sensitive can sometimes struggle to find roles. Zegler's future projects will likely be watched closely to see how she handles the scrutiny and whether she can overcome the negative press surrounding Snow White. That being said, Zegler's talent is undeniable, and her performance in West Side Story showed that she has the acting chops to succeed in the industry. It's possible that as time passes and new projects come to the forefront, this controversy will fade into the background, and Zegler will continue to grow as an actress. The entertainment industry is constantly evolving, and public opinion can shift rapidly. What may seem like a career-defining moment today could be forgotten tomorrow, especially in an industry as fast-paced as Hollywood. Ultimately, Rachel Zegler's path through this controversy reflects the broader changes happening within the entertainment industry. As Hollywood continues to grapple with questions of representation, diversity, and modern values, actors like Zegler will find themselves at the center of these debates. How they handle the pressure will not only shape their own careers, but also influence the future direction of the industry. Rachel Zegler found herself in a tough spot recently when the TV show South Park made fun of Disney's new take on Snow White, which tried to be more modern and woke. This incident stirred up a lot of talk and put a spotlight on the intense pressure that young actors like Zegler face in Hollywood today. For Zegler, dealing with this was especially hard, as she not only had to handle criticism for her role as Snow White, but also had to navigate the larger conversation about how Hollywood is trying to include more progressive ideas in its stories. The idea behind updating Snow White was to reflect today's values, including more diversity and a fresh approach to old tales. However, not everyone agrees with these changes, and shows like South Park often mock these efforts, leading to debates about whether these updates are necessary or effective. As a young actress, Zegler found herself at the center of these debates, which can be overwhelming. When Zegler showed her emotions publicly in response to the South Park episode, it opened up discussions on whether such openness is a sign of strength or if it shows she might not be able to handle the pressures of a high-profile career in entertainment. Some people admire her for being genuine and showing her true feelings, while others think she might struggle to maintain her career if she can't manage the stress better. Despite these challenges, the outlook for Zegler's career in Hollywood remains positive. She is undeniably talented and has shown great potential in her performances so far. The controversy surrounding the Snow White remake is just one part of her career, and is unlikely to be the thing that people remember about her in the long run. As Hollywood continues to change and adapt, so too will the roles and opportunities for actors like Zegler, who are trying to make a name for themselves while dealing with the shifting dynamics of public opinion and cultural criticism. The conversation about diversity, representation, and political correctness in Hollywood isn't new, but it has gained more attention as more projects attempt to reflect broader societal changes. The film industry is trying to find the right balance between updating old stories to fit modern values and maintaining enough of the traditional elements to keep longtime fans happy. This balancing act is not easy and often leads to public disagreements and debates, as seen with Zegler's experience. Is South Park simply mocking Disney's attempt at progress, or is it pointing out something much deeper about Hollywood's changes? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.